We're deeply sorry to inform you, Mr. Nathan Cole has passed away. His accounts have been closed. All assets will be transferred to the legal beneficiary. I read the message from the bank 3 times. My eyes burned. My fingers felt ice cold, even though the heater was on. I was still alive. I was still breathing. So why were they saying I was dead? I grabbed the phone and called the bank hotline. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold it. After a few rings, a robotic female voice came on. "We're sorry, Mr. Nathan Cole. A legal death certificate confirms your passing last week. Your accounts have been closed. The assets are being processed according to your will." "Who's the beneficiary?" I almost shouted. "Mrs. Emily Cole. Your wife." The phone slipped from my hand. It hit the wooden floor with a hollow thud. Emily, my wife of over 20 years. The woman who once said, "Trust me. I'll take care of everything." That was when I moved to my parents' old house to recover after the accident at work. The phone buzzed, snapping me out of it. A text from my best friend, Ben. "Bro, is it true? Did you really die? I just saw your obituary in the local paper." Why didn't Emily say anything? I pulled up social media. Typed in Emily's name. Nothing. Her accounts were gone. Facebook. New name, new profile picture. No trace of me anywhere. I tried calling her. Once. Twice. "The number you're trying to reach is currently unavailable." The third time, the automated voice said, "This number has blocked calls from your device." I logged into my email. The inbox was empty. Every message between us, deleted. I tried our joint bank account. Wrong password. Clicked Forgot Password. The system replied, "The recovery email address has been changed." I stood there, frozen in that old, dimly lit room. The yellow light flickered, like it was about to die. Outside, the wind howled through the cracks. It sounded almost like someone whispering my name. My throat was dry. My heart pounded so hard, I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. And in that moment, I understood. She didn't just want to leave me. She was trying to erase me from this world. But I had no idea. That night was only the beginning of the darkest nightmare of my life. My name is Nathan Cole. I'm 45. A mechanical engineer. My whole life was wrapped up in bolts, gears, and the sound of metal clanging in the shop. People used to call me old-fashioned, the quiet type. Didn't talk much. Didn't party. I only felt at peace sitting in the garage, wiping down my tools, listening to the clock tick in a silent room. I met Emily when I was 25. It was a rainy afternoon in March. She was a receptionist at the dental clinic where I went to get a wisdom tooth pulled. Emily had long brown hair, bright eyes, and a smile that lit up the little room. As I sat there, my mouth still numb from the anesthesia, she grinned playfully and said, "Your wisdom tooth's gone. But hey, at least you still have me." That joke stuck with me for weeks. A year later, we got married. Emily wasn't the ambitious type. She wanted a small house with a wooden porch, a garden full of lavender, and a husband who would love her for life. I promised her all of it. We bought a 2-story house in the suburbs, white walls, green shutters. I worked 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. Even took night shifts, so we could pay off the mortgage in 10 years instead of 30. Emily would greet me at the door with a warm dinner and an even warmer hug. There were nights I was so exhausted, I'd pass out on the couch. I'd wake up in the middle of the night to find her tucking a blanket over me. She'd whisper, "Don't work yourself to death like this. I just need you to stay healthy and be here with me." In our 12th year of marriage, I had an accident at work. A heavy steel sheet fell from a crane, nearly crushed my legs. I was lucky to survive, but my back was badly injured. The doctor said I'd have to take at least a year off, maybe never return to heavy labor again. Emily cried all night when she heard. She insisted on taking care of me. "You've taken care of me for over 10 years. Now, it's my turn. For the first few weeks, when I was bedridden, she did everything. Cooked, cleaned, changed my bandages. I thought I'd never forget the tenderness in her eyes back then. But as my health improved, Emily changed. She started going out more. Said she needed to clear her head after caring for me all day. I understood. I even encouraged her. Go to the spa, have coffee with your friends. I'll be fine. But when I asked where she was going, or with whom, her answers were curt. Just some old friends. Don't worry. One night, I woke up from a sharp pain in my back. Through the cracked door, I saw light spilling in from the balcony. Emily was out there, whispering on the phone. When she noticed me, she flinched. Hung up quickly. I was talking to a girlfriend. She's going through some stuff. I nodded, trying to believe her. But deep down, something felt wrong. A few weeks later, Emily suggested, "Why don't you stay at your parents' old house for a few months? The air's fresher there. It'll help your back heal faster. I'll handle everything here." Don't worry. That old house had been abandoned for years. The walls were stained. The wooden floor creaked with every step. The only clock on the wall still ticked, but its second hand was broken. I looked into Emily's eyes and said, "I trust you." I always trusted her. But I didn't know, when I left that house, I'd given Emily everything she needed to erase me from her life. I moved into my parents' old house that weekend. Emily packed a few clothes for me, some books, and a bottle of whiskey she slipped into my bag at the last minute. The house sat on the edge of town. It had been empty for almost 10 years. The air smelled faintly of mold. The paint was peeling off the walls. Every step on the wooden floor let out a sharp creak. Outside, weeds grew wild, reaching up to the windows. The old clock on the wall still ticked, even though its second hand had been broken for years. Clunk, clunk. The sound echoed like a countdown. Emily called me every night. She'd ask a few questions about my medication, my meals. But her calls grew shorter and shorter. One time, I called her back. The phone rang, then went straight to voicemail. A text came in moments later. "I'm busy. Get some rest, okay?" One night, during a video call, I heard a man's voice in the background. Deep. Not loud, but enough for me to know it wasn't coming from the TV. I asked, "Is there someone at our house?" Emily didn't flinch. She smiled faintly, raised her hand to cover the camera. "You're imagining things." "I'm just listening to a podcast." I nodded, forcing myself to believe her. But from that moment on, questions started swirling in my head. Questions I couldn't silence. A few days later, I got a message from Mr. Harris, the old neighbor who once helped me fix the roof. "Nathan, you doing okay? I've noticed a black SUV parked in front of your house for several nights. I thought maybe it's a friend of yours. But yesterday, I saw Emily hugging a man at your doorstep. I don't mean to pry, but it seemed odd." I read the message over and over, my fingers clutching the phone until my knuckles turned white. I wanted to confront Emily, but I stopped myself. I didn't want to be that husband. The suspicious one. The one who made his wife miserable. Every night, I lay alone in that cold, dusty room. My back ached so badly I could barely turn over. I stared at the cracked ceiling, thinking about the old days. I used to be the man who carried the whole family on his shoulders. Worked myself to the bone so Emily would never lack a thing. But now, I was just a broken man, living off his wife's care. Dear. She deserves better, younger, stronger. The thought cut into me like a blade. It left me gasping for air. Then one afternoon, an email came in from the bank. "We confirm the closure of your account, as requested by the beneficiary. If you have any questions, please contact us within 24 hours. I called the bank immediately. My hands trembled as the cold, automated voice answered. "We're sorry, Mr. Nathan Cole. A legal death certificate confirms your passing last week. Your account has been closed and transferred to the beneficiary listed on file. Who's the beneficiary? I asked, my voice shaking. Mrs. Emily Cole. Your wife. The phone slipped from my hand. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might explode. The very next day, a strange envelope slid under the door. There was no sender's name. I opened it. A local newspaper clipping fell to the floor. In the obituary section, bold letters screamed out, "We are saddened to announce the passing of Nathan Cole, 45, who died last week in a tragic accident." The funeral was held privately at the family's request. I froze. My hand shook as the newspaper slipped from my fingers. It hit the wooden floor with a dull thud. Clunk, clunk. The clock echoed louder in my ears, as if hammering in the truth. And in that moment, I realized something horrifying. Emily had already started erasing me from this world. I don't know how long I sat there, frozen, staring at that obituary printed on the newspaper. The evening light streamed through the window, casting long shadows across the peeling walls. The old clock ticked on, clunk, clunk, each sound echoing like it was counting down to my last moments. I'm still alive. I whispered it to myself, like I needed to hear it out loud to believe it. I called the bank immediately. The long, cold beep, beep rang in my ear before a robotic female voice answered. "We're sorry. Mr. Nathan Cole. According to our records, we've received a death certificate and processed your accounts as required. If you have any concerns, please visit your nearest branch." I'm still alive. Listen to me. I'm not dead. I screamed into the phone, my fingers gripping it so tightly my knuckles turned white. There was silence on the other end. Then the voice came back, colder than before. "We're sorry. We're unable to assist if the legal documents have already been verified." I hung up and dialed Ben, my best friend. We used to work side by side. Now he runs his own auto shop. "Nathan?" Ben's voice cracked with shock. "I thought you were dead. I saw your obituary in the paper and on Facebook." Emily posted this long message about her loss and how much she loved you. My chest tightened, like someone was squeezing my heart. "Ben, listen to me. I'm not dead. I'm talking to you right now. Emily, she's done something. I need you to help me figure this out." Ben agreed. While waiting for him to call back, I scoured the internet for answers. On a local news site, I found a short article about a man who died in a forest accident. The victim's name was withheld at the family's request, but the address and age matched mine exactly. That night, Ben called again. His voice was low, tense, almost a whisper. "Nathan, I went to your house. Emily wasn't there, but there's a man walking around inside. He's wearing a white shirt, a Rolex on his wrist. Yesterday, I saw them hugging in the front yard." My grip tightened on the phone. My heart thumped so hard it drowned out everything else. Ben paused, then added, "There's something else." I saw paperwork on the table, property transfer documents. Emily signed your name, Nathan. But it's not your handwriting. I've watched you sign your name hundreds of times. That wasn't you. My throat went dry. It felt like I was standing on the edge of a bottomless pit. "Nathan, I don't know how to say this, but I think Emily's building a new life. And you're not part of it." As his words sank in, I heard it. The sound of a car pulling up outside the old house. Headlights swept across the cracked window, casting a pale beam onto the stained wall. My phone buzzed. A new text message. From an unknown number. "We know you're still alive. Stay quiet. If you want to stay that way." I yanked the curtain shut as the headlights swept across the window. My heart pounded like a hammer in my chest. The message from the unknown number still glowed on the screen. "We know you're still alive. Stay quiet, if you want to stay that way." My fingers trembled violently. Sweat blurred the phone screen. For the first time in my life, I felt like prey. Hunted. I called Ben. "Ben, you need to get out of there. Now." I don't want you dragged into this. Ben pushed back, his voice dropping to a near whisper. Nathan, I saw Emily's eyes. That's not the same Emily you loved. If you don't go back and face this, everything will vanish in silence. I reached out to Mr. Davis, the lawyer who helped me buy the house years ago. Thankfully, he still had the files. Nathan, I was shocked to see your name in the obituaries. I met Emily just last week. She asked me to finalize the house transfer papers. But Nathan, the signature on the death certificate, it doesn't match any signature I've ever seen from you. Something feels off. Do you have a copy? I asked, almost shouting. Yes. I'll send it over right away. But be careful. If this is real, you're up against something much bigger than you realize. His words cut through me like an icy blade. As I waited for Davis's email, another message came in from that same unknown number. You're wasting time. Emily has already cashed out the life insurance. Don't do anything stupid. How do they know about the insurance? I never told anyone, except Emily. A chill crawled up my spine. I felt like every breath I took was being watched. I leaned back in the chair, trying to breathe deeply. But my lungs felt tight, like they were closing in. I used to think the worst thing in life was losing the one you love. But now, I know there's something worse. Being pushed to the edge by the person you trusted most. I made up my mind. I grabbed my keys and left the old house. As I pulled onto the main road, I noticed a black SUV in my rearview mirror. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. But when I turned left onto a narrow road, it turned too. I pressed the gas. The SUV sped up. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. I killed the headlights, slowed down, and suddenly swerved into the roadside, holding my breath. The SUV stopped about 50 meters behind me. Its headlights went dark. Through the faint glow, I could make out a tall figure sitting behind the wheel. He tilted his head slightly. The pale blue light of a phone screen flickered across his face. A smile crept across his lips. Cold. Empty. My phone buzzed. A FaceTime call. From the same unknown number. I swallowed hard and answered. Emily's face appeared on the screen. She was sitting on the sofa, warm yellow light wrapping around her. But the smile on her lips made my blood run cold. Hello, Nathan. I didn't expect you to be this stubborn. But you know what? Emily tilted her head, her eyes glinting with something dangerous. It's a shame you're still alive. I sat frozen in the dark room. A dim yellow light spilled across the cracked walls. Sharp pain shot through my back in waves, but I didn't even notice anymore. My mind felt crushed, spiraling with one question that had no answer. Dachish. Did she ever love me? Or was it all just an illusion? I dialed Emily's number again. The third time tonight. The number you have dialed is temporarily unavailable. I switched to Ben. He picked up, his voice rough and strained. Nathan, listen to me. You can't go back. I saw that black SUV circling your house last night. They know you're still alive. I nearly screamed. Ben, I can't hide forever. This is my house. She's my wife. I have to do something. There was silence on the line. Then Ben sighed, his voice heavy with sorrow. Nathan, if you still believe she's your wife, you're going to die. The next morning, I took the risk. I went to the bank branch in town. A young clerk glanced at my ID. His face went pale. Mr. Cole, but our records say you passed away. I gripped the edge of the counter, forcing my voice low and steady. Look at me. I'm standing right here. Who submitted the death certificate? Who emptied my accounts? The clerk swallowed hard. The beneficiary is your wife, Mrs. Emily Cole. She withdrew everything 3 days ago. There's a confidentiality order. I can't share more. My heart pounded. My ears rang. Emily, what have you done? As I stepped out of the bank, a thin, middle-aged woman approached cautiously. Her eyes darted around nervously. Mr. Cole, she whispered, her voice trembling. I'm Martha. I used to care for your mother at the nursing home. There's something I have to tell you. What is it? My voice cracked, raw. Martha lowered her tone, almost a whisper. Emily came to the nursing home the other day. She asked me to sign some papers for your mother. But when I glanced at them, it was your death certificate. A chill shot through my veins. She forged the documents? Martha bit her lip and nodded. She told me that man should have died long ago. Keeping him alive only makes everything messy. She paid me to stay silent. But I can't keep this secret anymore. Before I could ask another question, Martha turned and walked away. Her steps quickening, almost like she was fleeing. I used to be Emily's rock, her safe place. But now, I'm the prey of the very woman I loved. Every step I take feels like it's part of their plan. She doesn't just want to erase my name from the records. She wants to erase my very breath from this world. Across the street, the black SUV sat silently. The engine hummed softly. Tinted windows reflected the pale glow of the streetlights. I stared at it. A faint blue light flickered inside, the glow of a phone screen. And then it hit me. That screen was showing a photo of me, standing right where I was. They don't just know I'm alive. They're watching my every breath. I walked faster. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. The night was so still. Each click of my shoes against the sidewalk echoed like a hammer strike. Behind me, the hum of the SUV's engine lingered. Low. Smooth. Heavy, like the breath of a predator. They're watching my every breath, every step I take. My phone buzzed. A message from the unknown number lit up the screen. You have 24 hours to disappear. If not, it won't just be you. Ben will pay the price too. My chest tightened. Ben. I called him immediately. The line rang, then cut off. I tried again. And again. Nothing. Ben, don't tell me they've already. Hours later, my phone rang. The same unknown number. I answered. A deep, rasping voice came through, slow and sharp, like a knife twisting in my chest. Nathan, you're too stubborn. And your friend has already paid the price. A static-filled sound followed. Ben's voice. Screaming. Panicked. Nathan, don't come back. It's a trap. They don't just want to kill you. They want... Thud. A dull, hollow sound. Then silence. Ben, he got pulled into this nightmare because of me. Everything I touch, I destroy. If I keep going, I'll be next. But if I run, they've already won. I took a deep breath. Fear gave way to a slow-burning rage. If Emily and her monster want to erase me from this world, I'll show them. The ghost they thought was dead can still rise. On the road back to the cabin, a figure stood motionless in the middle of the street. The dim streetlight cast a sickly yellow glow over his shadowed face. Tall. A black coat draped over his broad frame. Hands in his pockets. Head slightly lowered. I slowed my steps. My fingers curled tight around my keys, my only weapon. Nathan Cole, his voice hissed through clenched teeth. You still don't get it, do you? We gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. He stepped forward, his voice dropping lower, each word landing like a nail being driven in. You think Ben's still alive? He's gone, Nathan. Gone on a very long vacation. I stumbled back. Behind me, the soft click of shoes echoed. Two more figures emerged, cutting off my escape. In the pale headlights, a familiar face appeared. Emily. She wore a long coat. Her face calm, eerily calm. Her icy stare pierced through me. No trace left of the woman who once whispered, "You're my whole world." Nathan. Her voice was soft, but each word sliced into my skin like a blade. I told you. Don't come back. Emily lowered her head slightly. Her lips curled into a faint, chilling smile. You always prided yourself on being the family's rock. But look at you now, a burden. A pathetic leech. In that moment, I realized this was no longer the woman I once loved. Emily was gone. And the person standing before me was someone who could take my life without blinking an eye. I stood frozen in the empty street. The pale yellow glow of the street lamp spilled over Emily's face. She wore a long ash-gray coat, her hair tied back neatly. Her eyes, hollow and cold, like the woman I once loved, had died long ago. Behind her, two towering men stood with arms crossed, their sharp eyes cut like blades. The air felt thick, like it was crushing my lungs. "Nathan," Emily's voice broke the silence, smooth as velvet, but colder than ice. "You shouldn't have come back. You should have known. This was never about love." I clenched my fists so tight my nails dug into my palms, breaking skin. "Why, Emily? After everything, why would you do this to me?" Emily smirked. A dry, hollow laugh echoed through the night. "Because you're weak, Nathan. Because you're a burden. You really thought I stayed with you out of love? No, you were only worth something as long as your life insurance policy was intact." Each word sliced into me like a knife. I loved the man who stood tall, strong. But what's left after that accident? Just a body, barely breathing. Footsteps echoed behind her. A tall man stepped into the light. Chiseled features, a clean-shaven jaw, a crisp white dress shirt. He rested his hand on Emily's shoulder. A cold smile curled his lips. "Nathan, you've lasted longer than we expected. But the fun ends here," I snarled, my eyes narrowing. "Who the hell are you? What did you promise her? To make her betray me?" The man chuckled. A low, gravelly sound, like stones grinding together. "I promised her nothing. Emily chose me, because she knew you were no longer the man she needed. I used to believe I was enough to keep her by my side. But now I see. It was all an illusion I painted for myself. If this is the end, then at least I won't go down as a coward." The man gave a subtle signal. One of the guards stepped forward. A blade glinted in his hand, its cold steel catching the dim light. Shk! The sound of metal sliding from its sheath sent a chill down my spine. Cold sweat ran down my back. Emily's gaze never wavered. Her eyes, dark voids staring straight through me. "You're not a bad man, Nathan, but this world has no place for the weak." She whispered it, her lips curling into a faint, cruel smile. "They think I've already fallen. But if this is my last night on earth, I'll make sure they all burn in hell with me." The tall man stepped closer. The blade in his hand caught the dim streetlight, gleaming like a predator's tooth. Behind me, two dark silhouettes moved in. Every escape route was cut off. Emily stood still, arms crossed over her chest. Her eyes were cold, like polished marble. She tilted her head slightly. Her voice was low, smooth as silk, but heavy like a death sentence. "Nathan, don't make this harder than it has to be. Get on your knees. Let this end." I stepped back. My heart pounded like a war drum. Part of me wanted to give in, to drop to my knees and accept whatever came next. But then I thought of Ben. I thought of my mother. I thought of the man I used to be, a man who stood tall, who fought with everything he had to protect his family. They want me to die like a dog, but I wasn't born to die a coward. The man with the knife smirked. "End this, Cole. We'll make it quick, painless." I dropped to one knee, like I had given up. But my hand slipped quietly to a small rock by the roadside. And in one explosive movement, I hurled it straight into his eye. He screamed, staggering back. I lunged forward, slamming my shoulder into his chest. The knife slipped from his grasp. I grabbed it and drove it down, the blade clanging against the asphalt, just inches from his hand. The sound of steel biting cement cut through the night. I snarled, my breath ragged. "Touch me again, and I'll drag every last one of you down to hell with me." I once loved Emily blindly, only to find out she planned to kill me for a cheap insurance payout. If I have to die, I'll die like a wolf. Not prey. "Kill him!" Emily's scream cut the air, sharp as broken glass. Her voice tore through the night. "Don't let him live another second. Her eyes blazed with something I'd never seen before. A hatred so deep. It was aimed at the man who had once been her husband. "You thought I loved you, Nathan? No, you were nothing but a gold mine with a neat little insurance number." My chest tightened. The pain burned deep. But rage burned hotter. The second man lunged at me. I rolled to the side, the knife raised to block. Steel screeched against steel. The blade sliced across my arm. Warm blood seeped out, bright red. Pain shot through me, sharp and cold. But adrenaline drowned it all. In the distance, sirens wailed. Blue and red lights cut through the darkness, sweeping across Emily's face. "Fall back," the tall man barked, grabbing Emily's arm. She yanked it free. Her eyes locked on mine, burning cold. "You've chosen the hard road, Nathan. Next time, I won't leave you enough strength to even lift your head." Emily and her pack vanished into the night, leaving me kneeling on the asphalt. Fingers clenched tight around a blood-stained knife. Breath heaving. They think I've fallen. But next time, it's either they finish me, or I finish them all. I knelt in the empty road, my breath ragged. My hand clenched tight around the knife, knuckles white. The night wind whipped across my face, ice cold. The metallic scent of blood filled my nose. They've pulled back. But is this victory, or just a stay of execution? Back at the cabin, I slammed the door shut, bolted every lock. The room was pitch black, except for a faint, flickering yellow light. I sat down. My hands shook as I peeled off my jacket. Scratches and dried blood crisscrossed my skin. I stared into the mirror. The man looking back was a stranger. Hollow eyes. An unkempt beard. A gaunt, worn face. And yet, deep in that reflection, something had shifted. I used to think losing Emily meant losing everything. But the truth is, I lost myself long before I lost her. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered. Her voice came through, familiar and cold enough to send chills down my spine. "Nathan, you're better than I thought. But this game isn't over." Emily exhaled softly. A faint, mocking laugh followed. "You can run, but you know I'll find you. I erased you from my life once, and I can do it again." I paused, then spoke, my voice lower, steadier. "Emily, I'm done running. This time, I'm coming for you. Not to save us, but to end this." I didn't sleep that night. In the suffocating darkness, I pulled out my old laptop. I dug through copies of the forged documents Emily filed, the recordings from earlier calls, the threatening messages. They think I'm weak. But this time, I'll use my mind, not my fists. I sent everything to Davis, the lawyer, the only man I still trusted. The message was short. "If I don't show up in 48 hours, take this to the police." I thought hatred would make me stronger. But all it's done is hollow me out, piece by piece. Emily chose her path. Now I have to choose mine, even if it leads straight to the edge of the abyss. I picked up an old photo. Emily in my arms, her radiant smile once meant the world to me. My chest tightened. But this time, I whispered, "Thank you for the good days, Emily." Even though now we stand on opposite cliffs, a new message arrived. 11 p.m. tomorrow. The old warehouse at the edge of the woods. Come alone. If you don't, everything you love will disappear. I closed the phone. Took a deep breath. Outside the window, the moon hung low, its pale glow as sharp as a blade. Maybe this will be the last time I get to see the moon. If this is my final journey, I'll walk it with my head held high. The next night, I arrived at the warehouse on the edge of the woods. The air was deathly still. Dry leaves whispered underfoot. A lone yellow light swayed above, casting flickering shadows on the cracked brick walls. The rusty metal door hung ajar. I stepped inside. A damp, cold smell wrapped around me like a shroud. Emily was there. She wore a long black coat, her hair tied neatly. Her eyes, deep and dark, like a bottomless pit. But as the light brushed across her face, I caught it. A faint tremble in her lips. A rare crack in her mask. "You came." Emily's voice broke the silence. Low. Heavy. It echoed through the hollow space. I stopped a few feet from her. Took a deep breath. "What do you want?" "Emily?" "My blood. Or my heart one more time?" Emily smirked. Her smile was cold, but her eyes shimmered, betraying a trace of tears. "You think I wanted to become this? You broke Nathan. And I had to survive." A faint shuffle behind me. Two men stepped forward, closing in. But this time, I didn't flinch. "Emily, I didn't come here to beg. I came to end this." She stayed silent. A single tear slipped down her cheek. But she turned her face too quickly for me to see her expression. I locked eyes with her. My voice low and gravelly. "I loved you so much, I lost myself completely. But the man standing here now, he's not that ghost anymore. If you want to finish me, do it here. But you know the truth. All the evidence is already out there. When I fall, you'll fall too." Emily narrowed her eyes, then laughed, a dry, bitter sound. Half regret, half venom. "You've always been too sentimental to win this game, Nathan, but maybe that's what I loved about you." I stepped closer. My voice rough, breaking. "I've imagined avenging you 100 times in my head. But now I know. Forgiveness is harder." Emily's eyes flickered, lost, trembling. "Nathan, you'll never forget me, will you?" She whispered it like a ghost. I closed my eyes. Exhaled. "I'll remember. But I won't love anymore." I turned and walked away. Each step echoed through the warehouse, like a hammer striking an empty heart. Behind me, Emily stood frozen, a statue in the darkness. Her eyes were unreadable. Hate? Or regret? I couldn't tell. "Nathan, you can walk away this time. But one day, you'll realize some scars never heal." I didn't look back. But my shoulders finally eased. Nash. She's right. The scar will never heal. But it reminds me I'm still alive. She's no longer in my life, but I'm grateful for the days I had her. There were wounds I thought would kill me, but in the end, they're the ones that helped me find myself again. I walked slowly along the narrow path back to the cabin. The night sky was fading, giving way to a pale, fragile dawn. The wind slipped through the trees, carrying the earthy scent of rain-soaked ground. Each footstep echoed in the stillness, reminding me I was still here, still alive. In my mind, Emily's face appeared, so vivid it felt like she was standing in front of me. Sometimes it was the tender gaze of the woman who once whispered, "You're my whole world." Other times, it was the icy stare of the one who pushed me to the edge of the abyss. I used to believe our love was eternal. But now I see, nothing is eternal, except the pain it leaves behind. You were once my safe place, Emily, and then you became the scar so deep I thought it would never heal. I had fallen before. I believed losing Emily meant losing everything. I wanted to give up, to let the pain bury me forever. But tonight, standing face to face with her, I realized some battles can only be won by not fighting at all. I let go. Not because I'm weak, but because I choose to live. I reached the cabin and pushed open the creaking wooden door. On the table sat an old photograph of Emily and me. I picked it up, stared at it for a long, quiet moment. "Maybe I'll never forget you, Emily. But I've learned to forgive, not for you, but for myself. I used to think I couldn't live without her. But if you're hearing these words now, know this. You're still here. You're still breathing. And that alone is enough to start over. Stand back up. Not for anyone else, but for you." Outside, the sky bloomed with light. The first rays of sun pierced through the trees, dancing on the dew-soaked ground. I stood there for a long moment, took a deep breath, then stepped forward. Maybe the scar will never fully heal, but it reminds me I survived. My footsteps echoed, steady and calm, fading slowly into the sound of morning birdsong. I don't know where this path leads, but for the first time, I'm walking it for me. She's no longer in my life, but I'm grateful for the days I had her. And I'm grateful that today I'm still standing,